Yo, hey guys, it's Blackstone Mayhem, and this is part 3 of my block style coding tutorial. If you haven't watched part 1 or 2 yet, make sure to check them out. I have a playlist of all of my coding tutorials on my channel, and in this tutorial, instead of just yapping and teaching you guys how to code, I'm going to be doing a very small project that I can probably finish in under an hour and a half, I would say. But I'm going to make the game Pong because one of my subscribers suggested for me to do it. If you don't know what Pong is, it's basically a game where on a screen there's a ball bouncing around and there's like kind of paddles that you can use to deflect the ball. It's a very simple game, kind of like Tetris. Tetris is a bit more popular, but I think that most of you guys should know what Pong is, unless you're like really young and have never heard of that. But let's get into it. I'm not going to do much editing out this video because I want you guys to see most of the raw footage. But the first thing that we need for Pong is kind of the screen. So you might try to do api.set block rectangle because I'm going to use a black screen. And then you need the coordinates of opposite ends of the screen, and then you say what block it is. I'm going to make my screen out of black concrete, I think, because it's like the darkest block kind of that's solid. If you scroll through everything, like block of coal has texture to it, same with like obsidian and all that stuff. But if you go to just black concrete, yeah, it's like solid black. There is a bit of texture, but not much. Let me make sure that everything is good. Yeah, it's like, okay, my recording's good. That's a good thing. But the problem that I know that we're gonna run into, well, let me first of all do it. I'll make a decently big screen. Okay, 100 by 100, which is probably too big realistically, so I'll make 100 by 50, 100 by 60. So if you really want to and you don't know how to just like do coordinates like from memory like I am, which most of you should be able to do, you could like fly to the opposite ends that you want it to be and put the coordinates there. So as you can see, it didn't work because we're setting too many blocks to be well, concrete. And by the way, there's not 60 blocks in between here, there's actually 61. So just to make it easier, I'm gonna increase these by 1, because like I want to make the screen 60 by 100 instead of 61 by 101. So now it's a nicer number. But instead of setting block rectangle, we have to actually do it like 20 times because you can only do 360 blocks at a time, which is pretty annoying. But as I told you, my screen is 60 by 100, so what I can do is 60 times 6, and then I have to do that like 17 times or whatever. So we have to use a for loop. I think I told you about loops in my coding tutorial, but I did not tell you about some other things. But everything that I should need, most of it, however, is here. So we start off, this is X coordinate, this is Y coordinate, and this is the Z coordinate, okay? So let's change the X, well actually, since we always want to do 60 by 6, this means that we're going to keep the X values in our for loop. I'll show you what that means, because basically what we're trying to do is copy and paste it like 17 times, but I'm going to use a loop because that's a better way. But we, instead of changing 100 blocks here, which is way too big, we would just do 956, and then 957, and then add another 6, and you get 963, and then 962, and then 968, I believe. So this is like, each of these is making like a sliver that is only 60 blocks by 6, right? I could do it right now just to show you. Let me just delete the part of the code that won't work. Oh yeah, I can't do the original one either. I think I can just comment it out. I don't know if these comments work. Oh yeah, they do. So yeah, I basically did a sliver, but for this screen, I want to copy and paste this across like 10 times basically. Actually like 17 times. This is a kind of big screen. Wait, no. This is like, well, I'll just show you what I mean pretty much. So for over all of these times, the X value is staying the same because X value is this direction. All we're doing is we're going to move the Z value this direction by 6 blocks every single time. So I can kind of show you what the loop would look like. Now the manipulated variable is the z coordinate, so we'll let it equal the smallest one, which is this is the smallest z. And then we're gonna keep doing this loop until z is less than the final answer, which is basically this. And we might make our screen a tiny bit too big or a tiny bit too small, but we can adjust later. So we're gonna keep running this loop until z does not fulfill this condition of z being less than 1050. Because if we never end, then it'll just keep going on forever, which we don't want, because we obviously want our screen to end. And every single time we want to increase z by 6. And in this loop, we basically want to do this here, but instead of using the exact coordinates, our z value, we'll do it in terms of the variable. So this is x, y, z, so we'll just do z, and then z plus 5. And you might think, oh, we're only doing 5 blocks, but it's actually 6. Because like, there's basically, if you count all of the numbers between 1 to 6 inclusive, well, there's obviously 6 numbers, even though when you subtract them, there's 5. But that is a bit off topic. So then this should be good. I might have been a small bug, I don't know. But let's see, yeah. So it is looking well. We can check our x value to make sure it is good. So it's actually a tiny bit over. We don't, so let's stop this a bit earlier. Since we want to make this 6 blocks shorter, because each time it makes it 6 blocks longer this direction. If you don't know exactly what I'm saying, it's fine, because you just figure it out yourself. But now let's do this. So essentially what we're doing, if we click this code block again, is we're making it 6 blocks shorter. So if I click it, it will only, it'll basically not do this area. So let me just quickly set that area to grass, to air, because I want to like reset it. So I'm actually not 100% sure. Well, actually, an easier way of doing this, yeah, I could just reset the whole thing. I could go back to 50 and then set it all to air, and then it'll get rid of the whole thing. And now I can go to 44 and set it to black concrete, because why not? Now I think it's a bit too short if we want the exact dimensions, and I will get the exact dimensions just because why not. So I want it to actually go all the way up to here. So I could add an if statement in the for loop, but what I'm just going to do is add an extra line of code, because if you add an if statement in the for loop, I'm pretty sure it'll make the code technically run a lot slower, because every time I'll have to do the for loop. So now this time the z value is 146 to, 1046 to 1050. Yeah, this seems right. I just want to make sure, chat. I just want to make sure. So now if I go all the way over here, yep, now the screen is the right dimension. Now it is a big screen, of course, but let's make the area where we can use the screen. Now the center block is 1000, 1000. Is it actually? I think there's actually no center block, because it's, yeah, there's technically no center block. So I'll make a center 2x2 square. Set glass. I know how to spell trust. So I think the center block is here. This is the exact center block. It doesn't matter. Well, the center square. It doesn't really matter if it's exact, but I'm going to do it exact because I can. And let me just set a warp here so it's easy to quickly go. Where are the warps? Okay. There. And also send a warp at the ground. Well, let me copy and paste this code and move it up there, because why not? Because that is cool. There we go. Alright, now the next step is obviously to make the ball. Now I think since I made the screen so enormous, I'm going to make the ball 2x2. Which does have one small thing. So I'll make the ball basically white concrete on the screen. This making Pong is kind of like my bouncing ball simulator that I made. I made a YouTube short on it, but the ball will basically be like this. Now in the code we're going to want to store the position of the ball at all times, just because we're going to need to move it and stuff. But to store the position, we can just use the top left corner or whatever. But that would mean that technically the top left corner, if the top left corner of the square is at the bottom right corner of the screen, then it would look like this, which we obviously don't want. So we have to add, we have to make it one block. Like in the code, our screen is going to be one block shorter because the screen is going to be like here and like here, kind of. But that's just a bit nitpicky thing. If you just use a single block, it wouldn't have this error. And remember, each block, the coordinates of them are rounded down. When you stand in the middle, you can just round down those coordinates, and that is the coordinates of the block. Now, typically, this is the negative corner, the corner that is closer to 0, 0. So I think traditionally, if you would do like an X and Y axis and have your coordinates based on them, it would be in reference to this corner. So I think that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm actually going to face this the other direction. But this is just like setup, because I want to set up for this project decently well. So now this is just to reset the map pretty much. So yeah, this is, when you click this, it will reset. So let me put a sign that says reset. Now of course when we reset, we're also going to want to reset score and all of that stuff, but I'll work on that once I actually code score. And let me actually move this one block down, just because I can. There we go, my OCD is taking over. Now we're gonna have to work in world code to make this other stuff work. Because basically the ball is going to move on its own with no one clicking code blocks, obviously. So we're going to need to use the tick function, which I talked about in my intermediate coding tutorial. So we can delete all of this, and hopefully I remember function notation. Tick equals this equals... Yeah, so this is a function. Now inside this we have to have a variable. You could call it delta, no, not theta. I've been doing trig lately. But you could just use that, but we're not going to use this parameter at all, because we don't exactly need it. This function will run 20 times a second, and I'm probably not going to want my game to be 20 FPS. Not because that's a lot, but not because that's not enough, but because it's kind of a lot. I think 10 FPS is a bit better because there won't be as many errors in the chat and it won't break everything. And I'm probably gonna have to make it, actually no, 10 FPS is good because I don't need any acceleration. It's just constant velocity. So, to make as I showed you in my intermediate video, to make the frame rate less, I'll just make a variable called frame counter, and I'll actually have this outside of my tick function. Let frame counter equals 0, okay? Now every single tick, it will increase this by 1. And if the frame counter is greater than 0, or you could put greater than or equal to 1, is probably more clear. And then it will turn the frame, then it'll basically run all of the code that we have for our program, because we only want it to be 10 FPS. But we also want to set this to 0, so it repeats. Now you could just not set it to 0 and it would still work if you used modulo 2, but I don't like that as much. In this example it would work, but I just feel like if you ran your code for days and days, it would eventually make this number in the billions, which is fine, but you know what, I'll just do it that way because it doesn't really matter, but it's just a bit sketchy in my opinion. I'm sure it would work in Blockstack. So if frame counter modular 2, you probably don't know what modular is, but it basically divides frame counter by 2 and then gets the remainder. So 7 modulo 2 is when you divide 7 by 2 and the remainder is 1 because it is, okay? So if this is equal to 0, actually, well, I could do 1. I'll just do 0 because why not, and then set this into 1. But it just doesn't really matter, then it'll run. So basically, it will run this code half of the frames, and it is at 20 FPS, so it'll only be at 10 FPS now. And in this code, we're also going to want some more variables, of course. Let position. I'm just gonna do position like this because I don't want to, but this is the position of the ball. I don't want to write it all out because then it's a bit scuffed. I'm also gonna use variable just because it's globally accessing. I don't trust variable that much. I think variables reset when you leave or rejoin, which is a bit sketchier than custom attributes. But since I'm just doing a basic coding tutorial, I'm not gonna make this work that well if you leave and rejoin. Like, I'll just make it reset the game maybe. So the position of the ball. Now I'm gonna do the position of this corner, I think, the bottom right corner. It's a shame that's not the bottom left corner, but actually if I wanted to do the bottom left corner, well, actually I could do the bottom left corner still. It would just be very tricky. No, I'm just gonna do the bottom right corner because this is where the coordinates in the chat are small and then it gets bigger thus. So my reference will be the bottom right corner of the ball, basically. So I'll start the ball and I'll put it in the middle pretty much. So let's go to world code. So I'll put the ball roughly in the middle. Now it'll technically be one block off the middle. Actually no, it'll be exactly in the middle. So 1000. So this is a position. Now if we want to draw the ball on the canvas, then what we can do is API dot set, I almost forgot the command, block rectangle, and then we have to do one corner, which we can just use position, and then I'm just gonna do, we get the x coordinate of the position, but we have to increase it by 1, okay, because we're doing the opposite corner this time. I'm not going to tell you guys exactly everything that I'm doing because most of it should make a lot of sense. And then we just get the y coordinate, which will always be 1, so I'll just do 1 there. And then position 1 plus 1. That makes sense, right? Oh yeah, and then I have to set it to white concrete. Actually, I've never used the this method of getting elements of an array. I usually make the variables x, y, and z, but I suppose this works too. So white concrete, down. Okay, what did I do? How is it so many blocks? Holy. Oh yeah, okay. There. So now there's a white ball, and if I break it, it will redraw itself 10 times a second, which is good, because that is kind of what you want. Now if we move this ball, it won't delete this. So you might be like, okay, we can redraw the entire canvas every 10 FPS, and it'll delete the ball wherever it is. But that is just, in my opinion, a bad method to use. So I'm just gonna make another variable called last position, which will store the position of where the ball was last frame. So every frame we can get rid of the previous position. So I can just copy and paste this code kind of, and I'll put it first, but change this to last position. And instead of making the ball, instead of making the ball white concrete, I will make it air, because we want to delete where the ball previously was, if you know what I mean, because we can't just have the ball all being here and here and here at the same time or whatever. So if I wanted to, I could change these variables, and I think, if I change position to 20, then it will move the ball there. Oh yeah, I want to set it to black concrete instead. It's my bad. There we go, white concrete. I mean black concrete. So there we go. Now it will change the ball to there. But for now, actually, let me put the coordinates back. I don't want to take too long. Let me see how good I'm doing on time. 20 minutes in. Okay, that's a bit unfortunate actually, because I haven't done much. But it's not the biggest project in the world. And now you may have noticed that ball stayed, and it's fine. Trust. So what do we want to do? We need variables for velocity. X velocity is basically speed. So this is the speed that it'll be moving in the x direction, and I'll currently set it to 0. and Z velocity also equals 0. And I don't need a Y velocity because that's up and down, which I obviously don't need. And I think Z, X is left and right. You're joking. I might want to orientate it this way. That would make sense too. Yeah, okay. I'm going to orientate this way. Just so X is like left and right, because that's what you use on a Cartesian plane, and I'm sure that that's what most of us use. So, usually Y is up and down, but in this situation, I mean, like, usually Y is like this on a Cartesian plane, but but Z is this way, and X is left and right. So actually, yeah, this kind of does work. Bottom left coordinate is still that, and I'm probably gonna make the PONG against a computer. It shouldn't be hard to code a computer. This actually might be a 2-video process. Holy, I have to fix this. I have to make this fast. So let's make this interesting. Let's set the X velocity to 0.1. Now keep in mind this is 1 block per second, because it is 10 frames per second, so we have to multiply this by 10. Now what I'm going to do is, at the start of every frame, I will change the X position, which is the first one, and I have to increase it by X velocity, so aka the speed. That is by definition what velocity is. I just call it velocity because if it was negative, then it means it's moving left, but if it's positive, it means it's moving right. So that's why I'm using velocity, because it is more proper terms, you know? And then position the X coordinate, I have to increase it by X velocity. But before I do this, I have to update my last position variable. So currently, position is equal to the position that it was last frame, and then it updates the position based on the velocity. So I have to set the last position variable to equal position, and then what I do is update position. If I do it in the other order, then it'll just let the last position equals, like if I move this line of code down here, it won't work pretty much. Alright, good. I mean, there's not that much complicated stuff going on, so it moves. And how did I cook it? Let me set this to 0 real quick. So last position equals position. How am I selling so hard? So essentially, it is not clearing. So let's do some debugging, chat. Last position. It's so weird, it's not changing. So I assume right now the ball is like here and it's moving. Oh yeah. I have to change the velocity, my bad. So let me change the X velocity to this. Holy, my bad. Let's set this to 0. Okay, I cooked it, whatever, it's fine. This is interesting. I'm probably just making a stupid mistake somewhere. So it was updating last position. Is it like delayed? Position 1 plus equals X velocity. It might have something with... Wait, that's actually so weird. Okay, so originally I was setting the last position array to the position, right? Like the whole array, but apparently that just like linked them together, which is very weird. So what I did is I'm individually letting every element equal the element of what it was last frame, if that makes any sense. And also I added this up here on these lines, which basically just rounds position, because let's say to the nearest 10th place. So let's say position is 7.75 or 7.71, then when you multiply it by 10 it becomes 77.1, and then when you floor that it's just 77, and then when you divide that by 10 it's 7.7. It's basically just a rounding way. I think there's a better way to round with like built-in command, but I just use this because I'm weird, okay? So deal with it. So I think I can actually move this back here. Alright, so there we go. Now it moves normally, and now I'm going to set the velocity to 0, because I don't want it to ruin stuff. Because as of now, it doesn't bounce at all, which is a bit annoying, but whatever. So let's just delete this real quick. There we go. Okay, I'm also gonna set them to variables again, because variables are just better instead of using let. Well, they're both variables, but you know what I mean. So I'm going to use var. I stopped using var because I didn't trust it, because I was having errors. But that was just because of something weird. You gotta know how to bug fix like this, chat. Okay, so now it's variables, and this doesn't move because I have no velocity. And I'm pretty sure it should work if I set velocity to both of them, and then yeah, I'll just move diagonally. Okay, good. I think that now the main thing that I should work on is the like detecting if it bounces off walls, because why not? And by the way, I think what I'm going to do for the paddle is have something like this. Yeah, that's a good paddle. It's a pretty small paddle, but it works. So like the ball will bounce off the paddle too. So yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to want to keep track of where this paddle is and that paddle is, but for now I'll just make it bounce off of the walls. So as I told you before, the position of where this square is based on this corner. Yeah, the bottom right corner or whatever. Well, it's actually the bottom left corner when I'm up facing this way. So if this ball bounces this corner, basically the position of the ball is allowed to equal this corner, but it's not allowed to exceed it. So yeah, and this corner is at 971, 951. So this is where it's allowed to go to, but in the other corner it's a bit opposite. Yeah, because if the ball's position is, if we allow the corner of the ball, the bottom left corner, to go all the way to this corner, then the ball will look like this, because this corner is technically inside the area, but we actually want the top right corner. So basically what that means is we can only let the bottom left corner go to here. So I'm going to mark down those coordinates instead. So 1029 and 1049. Bam, there we go. So those are the boundaries basically. The x, it has to stay within this number and this number x coordinate wise, and it has to stay between this and this x coordinate wise. And let's go and do the math. I'm also gonna speed it up a bit, because why not? Yeah, 3 is pretty good. Well, I'll make it 0.3 because I want to make it 10 FPS, of course. I was changing the FPS when I was like bug fixing or whatever. Okay, so this is where I increase the velocity and do all of the math. But let's see this here. Okay, so if position 0 plus, and this is the x coordinate of the position, okay, plus x velocity. So this is basically where the ball would end up, is we want to make sure that this is in the coordinates, yeah? So this is an x coordinate and this is an x coordinate, this is a z coordinate and this is a z coordinate. Right now we're only working with x coordinates, so I can delete these. So we want to make sure that this expression is between these two values inclusively. I can actually make this, just increase this by 1 and increase this by 1. Wait, no, decrease this by 1? No, I think increasing this by 1 and decreasing this by 1. So we're giving it a more leniency, but then it's not allowed to equal this, okay? It's just not. It's only allowed to be almost that. So basically, if this expression, it has to be less than, it has to be greater than this. And where's the and on my keyboard? I think it's, yeah, 7. And this is greater, is less. Alright, I'm getting them mixed up anyways. So this has to be less than 1030, but it has to be greater than 970. Yeah? And and if it is not, then it'll basically have to bounce off the wall. All that's doing is changing the direction, the x direction, which is the x velocity, and what it's actually doing is negativing it, because when you're changing the direction, you just multiply it by -1 pretty much in velocity. It stays going the same speed technically, just the other way, so the magnitude is the same. So multiplied by equal to -1. And now we have to do the same exact thing. Oh shoot, I copy and pasted that. That is unfortunate, but it's not that bad actually. But now we have to do the exact same thing with the z coordinates now. So keep in mind that is position 2 plus z velocity. Okay, now we have to make sure that this is, and then I think it's just 950, because like the screen is 40. Yeah, it's like I'll just do it. I don't really need to explain because I explained for the first one, but you have to just take the dimensions of your screen and make it work. I think this should be smooth. If it's one block off, then we can just fix it after, because I'll just do a test. So z velocity. Yeah, this looks good. Alright, it looks like I have a small bug, but let me see what that is. Okay, so it looked, oh yeah, it's just the wrong direction. Easy fix. Wait, what? How did I cook it even more? What is this? Oh, wait, no. What is happening? Okay, so now it's just completely cooked. It's changing the velocity over and over again. Oh, yeah. Okay, so we want this to be false, basically. Yeah. So we want this if it's outside of the border or it is outside of the other wall, pretty much. So I just did the opposite thing. Because if this if statement is true, then we want to switch directions. But otherwise, we don't really need to do anything. So let me do these bars. Okay, there we go. Let me reset it though. Yeah. Very nice. Hopefully it bounces off the wall seamlessly. Yeah. It's a bit scuffed for some reason. I don't know why it's... Oh, I know why it's a bit weird. Oh, yeah. Okay. I can fix that, though. It was, like, bouncing around a bit suspiciously after it hit the wall. And that was because my velocity is not divisible by 1. Yeah. Or what it's doing is chomping it each time. Okay, I think I know why. I have to switch these around. No, it's just being weird. Okay, I see how it is. Yeah, it's not bounding properly. Holy bug central, chat. Let me reset this. Okay. So what are we noticing? Yeah. It's just going one block too far on every single side. That's cool. So we want to make the borders a bit one block stricter, I think is a good way to say it. Also, let me change the speed even more, because it's supposed to be fast in this game. 51, is this good? Oh, it be zooming, yeah, and then it bounced off of that wall good, bounced off of that wall good. Bounced off of that wall good. So yeah, it's bouncing now. Okay, let me delete this here. And let me just fix this up a tiny bit, because it was bad before. But now it is just eternally bouncing. But obviously, we're getting there. I'd say we're like halfway. Because most of the end stuff shouldn't be that bad. We need more of the physics. Actually, we're probably not halfway. I might want to make this a 2-part series. Wait, what do we have to do so far? So first of all, we need data management for point detection, which is pretty easy. I think I could just use a variable for that. I'm just going to do that instead of custom attributes, because custom attributes is so scuffed. So yeah. Alright, so what I want for the paddle, however, is when it bounces off of it, I want it to go not just like diagonally off of it, like a reflection kind of. I don't want it to, like, if it's going in like this, it go in like this, but I want it to like be able to change the angle that it's going at, because currently it's just always at 45 degrees, and I want it to change the angle it's going at based on where it hits the paddle, right? So if it hits one edge of the paddle, say, then it would go really far angled this way. If it hits the middle, it'll go like straight this way, and if it hits this edge, it'll go like that way. And it's a bit of trigonometry, I would presume, with like the sine, cosine down, but nothing that advanced, which is pretty good. But we're obviously gonna need a way to detect this paddle. I might actually want to make it one block bigger, but I'm afraid that it'll be too easy to survive then if I do that. So let's do this. Now with this paddle, I could obviously make it so if it like hits this side, then it checks if it hits a white block, right? And it could do that in a multitude of ways by like looping through every single block this way until it hits the first white block every time it makes it to one edge, but that is just bad. So I'm going to use a variable to store the paddle's position. So keep in mind, when I'm up on this code block, bottom left is there. So that is x equals 0. So I think I'm gonna start with the paddle at x equals 0. So let me do that. So I want to make it 8 long, so that is 6, so like there, and I'll also have the AI's paddle also over there, just so it's easier for me to code. To be honest, you could start it off like anywhere. I don't think it would make it much harder to code. I'll probably make it start in the middle later, but for now I will just do this. So in the reset code, we have to do api.setBlockRect and then where the paddles are. So I forgot. So this way is x, and I believe x, it goes from here, and then it's 8 blocks, so we have to put it here, and it's also 2 blocks thick, but it starts at 950, so it's 949 and 950. Now I could obviously just get the corner coordinates, but that's a bit tedious, so I'm just gonna do it this way. And then, so this is the coordinate of the paddle over here, but the paddle over here is gonna have a higher z coordinate, so I have to change this to 1050 and 1052, and this is actually 1051. And yeah, it worked. It turned them to black, which is good, because now I just have to change this to white concrete. Oh, I kinda griefed though. My bad, chat. I overrode some code, which is a bit annoying. So if I, for an example, set this all to air, yeah. So I have to get this coordinate again. Let's see the x values. I think I memorized it actually, yeah. Oh, and this is pretty interesting. You can see the path it takes. Pretty cool code, I suppose. But, not very necessary at all. Yeah, this actually looks nice. Like, let's take a moment to appreciate this real quick, I suppose. But whatever. So, black, create, and we have to copy and paste this. This is just like because I deleted the code, and then set this to this, and then 50, I want to say. Yep, there we go. Sweet. There we go. Everything is good again. But when we reset the map, we also want to reset the velocities and set the ball in the middle and put the paddles in its original spot. Actually, we don't need to put the paddle stuff here, but I will for now anyways. So what we want to do is reset the variables, okay? Now I defined them with var, so it's fine anyways. I don't have to change frame counter, because that's just a bit tedious, but let's just do this. And since we're not defining them and they're already defined, we get rid of the var. And let me set this to equal 0. No, it's just 1 now. Here we go. Yes. Why does it feel like it's going so slowly though? Like it's not going fast enough. I mean, I could make the speed fast. Oh, it's only at 10 FPS. Well, let me crank it up a little bit then. Yeah, that's faster. That's a bit too fast. I think I like it like this more. Yeah, this is good. Now, for some reason, when we reset it, okay, it does get rid of that. Nice. Now, are there any other variables that we want to put, reset? Well, let's actually make some variables here, okay? Var, and then player1, and this will store the x coordinate of the paddle, the x displacement, I should say, of the paddle. In respect to its respawn position. So if I moved 1, currently the x is 0, but if I moved it 1 block down, then x would equal 1, etc. all the way to the far end. I actually don't know the maximum value could be, but the dimensions are 60. But that would mean that if it was 60 blocks down, it would be, the paddle would be here. So the limit should be 53 then, I would presume. Yeah, just by my math in my head. So let's do this. So, player 1 equals 0, player 2 equals 0. Okay, I have to use variable, my bad guys. Now every tick we also want to draw the paddle position on this board. So I'll draw it where I draw the other stuff too, just because why not? I want this code to fit on one line, just so it's easier to see it. So I'm going to take out some of the unnecessary spaces. There we go, now it's all on one line. Okay, so we want to set another block rect. API.set. There's an error in the code, but let's see where we are now. If x equals 0, this is what it would look like. So we can like go based on this. But we're gonna have to write it in terms of player 1. So it actually, all we have to do is just add player 1 to the x coordinate, I think. And then it would be good. Plus, and this one's actually plus player 2. Yeah, that makes sense. And let me again get rid of the spaces. I don't think I'll be able to get rid of enough spaces anyway, so. But I'll just do it anyways. I could like unformat my code, but that's just weird. I mean, I don't really have anything against code going on to multiple lines, but it looks a lot better, I think we all can agree, if it doesn't go on to other lines. So we have to, again, add this. Because we want the paddle, sometimes it looks exactly like where it is right now, but other times it looks different. So let me reset this. And I actually think you can just delete these now. Right? Okay, never mind, it's not defined. I cooked it, chat. No. You know what? Let's just define them here. I guess it makes more sense. Var equals 0, and then when I hit it, it should be good again. Okay, nice. Now, as I said, x can go up to 53, which means that the middle point is when x is that divided by 2, maybe plus 1, or maybe there's not a perfect middle, but whatever. Okay, 27 is my best bet. So I think if we let these two equal 27, then they should be at the middle. Okay, but I also want to clear. Whenever I reset this, I want to clear and set that end tear and that end tear, so it removes, because it might be where the paddle used to be. So let me quickly do that. Yeah, there's a lot of kind of tedious things to this, and it's really coordinate based, so if you don't have good spatial awareness, then it is a bit harder. But this is 71 all the way up to here. Where am I? Plus player. Because we don't just want to always set the paddles to the same position, kind of, if you know what I mean. So I gotta paste this, and in this situation it's player 1, player 2, right? Yeah. And then player 2, player 1, good there. Yeah, that's good. In reality, we don't have to set the position. Like, we don't have to set the position of the paddle because it already sets it in world code every single tick. So that was kind of useless for me. Yeah, there we go. Okay, it's basically in the middle. It might be like 1 block to the left. Yeah, I think it's like 1 block to the left, but who cares? It's not that big of a deal, right, guys? Now, now I probably want to work on score. I think, yeah, score is the easiest thing to do. So let's let var score 1 equals 0 and var score 2 equals 0. I'm just keeping my variable name short because it's a small project, so I don't have to be that descriptive or anything. And I'll increase the score whenever you win, of course. Now, a question you might want is, how do you determine if the paddle is moving left or right? And I think I could use on block stand, which is a callback. So if I stand like here, it'll go move my paddle left. If I stand here, I'll move it to the right, and otherwise it won't do anything. So now I think it's a good time to start doing the point system. There's actually not a lot more that we have to do. We just have to make it bounce off the paddle well, and we obviously have to code the AI. I think coding the AI right now is the best thing. The AI won't be anything smart. It'll just like move left or right based on the X coordinate of the ball, which I think will look cool once I code that. But it will be a bit hard. So let's set the velocity to equal 0 so we can kind of study this. So keep in mind we are looking at the bottom left. This is the gold. This is the coordinates. If in the variable, oh, okay, I can't break that, but whatever. So this is the coordinates that we're working with, and this is the coordinates of the paddle that we're working with. Well, it doesn't, the Y doesn't matter. I mean the Z doesn't matter, only left and right? Because this is like, when X is 0, it means that this is like 0 units to the right, you know? So the middle, in reality, is like here, when we line it up with this block. So we have to take the coordinate of the paddle, which is the variable player 1, and we have to add 3 to it. Yeah? So I will take player 2, which is AI, and then add 3. And then we can compare this X coordinate, this X coordinate to the X coordinate of the ball, and it'll tell the AI whenever it should move left or right or whatever. So if this, I don't know if there's an absolute, let me check actually. Yeah, let me check this. API.log, I think it would just be this. Okay, I don't think it worked. Well, I mean, I could obviously just code a absolute value function very easily, but it is math.apps. I googled it. You can just Google absolute value on JavaScript and it'll work. Like, not on the Blocks API, but basically we care about how far it is, like how far the paddle is, so we need absolute value for that. So if player 3 plus 3, and then we subtract the coordinate of the ball, which is position, the X coordinate is just 0. And we want to take the absolute value to find the distance between them. Math.floor if this, I don't know, greater than 2, I think is good. No, greater than or equal to 2. Okay, just like, if this is greater than 1, I'm going to say. That makes sense, yeah. Because we don't want the AI, if it's just slightly offline and not, if the ball's not perfectly in the middle of the paddle, to move a tiny bit. Because that's a bit stupid, if you know what I mean. Because the AI doesn't need to be that good. So I'll just give it a little bit less accuracy. You could add a bit of randomness, which would be a bit harder to code, and I don't know, use normal distribution. But then it would look really scuffed. I don't know, you could code the AI to be a bit more human-like and unpredictable, but I think this is the best way to do it. So now we have to check which direction it should move, because clearly it is off-centered. So if this minus position 1 is greater than 0, let's take a second to figure out what this means. So the x-coordinate of this is more to the right than the x-coordinate of the ball. So what we would want to do is move it to the left. Yeah, that makes sense. So what I'll do is change player 2 and then minus minus. Now keep in mind we do this every frame. And the ball, so the ball has a max speed of square root of 2. Mathematically. If you don't know why, if you're too young to understand why, then that's fine. But I just don't want to make the AI too overpowered so it's always working it. So the ball has a max speed of square root of 2 per frame. So I think if we minus 1, then that could work. So yeah. And then we can just do else. I know, if you don't know what I'm saying, then this might look magical unless I fail it. Is that just good? Okay, I need to set the velocity and stuff. What do you mean position is not defined? Right there? It's not moving. Why is it not moving? Don't do this to me, game mode. It's probably just a PC bug or something. So what you can use for bug testing is, let's see if the AI should be moving by using api.log1. Okay. So it is not, so there's something wrong with this if statement then. So if, oh, I see. Wait, is this oh yeah. Oh, it's working. It's being a bit weird though. I need to terminate this program very fast. Shoot. Oh my gosh. I took so long to terminate it. Wait, it's still going? You're joking. How do I terminate this? Okay, there. That's very annoying that I just butchered it so hard. I'll fix that in a second. But I don't know why it was going this far. Let's check the code. I might have just switched these around on accident. So the x-coordinate of the x-coordinate of the paddle is farther to the right than the x-coordinate of the ball. So it should move the player to the left. I'll just switch these around and see if it works. Okay, why is it getting cooked so hard, chat? I don't understand this. Before I move on, let me quickly fix something. So currently the paddle is just a long line when it's supposed to delete its previous paddle position. And I think the easiest way to delete the previous paddle position is pretty simple. All we have to do is after we draw the paddle, we can delete it. I don't know. No, all we can do is just right above it, we can set the X coordinate to, here, let's just copy and paste this. We want to set it to air. So we got air, and we got this, and we want to take this. Dude, why is this is why you need to have spaces in your commas, guys. Alright, so this should work, except for the fact that I need to do 1 of 30, I want to say. So this kind of, okay. I see how it is. Position is not defined. Okay, so now, yeah, it's just going the wrong way. I guess I might have had it like kind of right originally. Why did it just keep going that direction? I hate this game mode so much. Alright, so it was going, always going to the right somehow. It's so weird. I'm gonna study this for a sec. Well, they have the same speed at the start, so it actually makes sense. Let me change the velocity to 0.5 so we can see what's going on a bit easier. Yo, okay, stop. The position is not defined. So yeah, it's just going to the right somehow. Which is just so goofy. Yeah. So I don't know why I have a bug somehow. But let's see. So now it's going the other way, which it should not be going. Oh, debugging time. Okay, I'm gonna show you a bit of debugging and not edit out. So let's API.log what this position is supposed to be. So it shouldn't. Huh? Oh. Oh, yeah, I finally figured it out, John. I figured it out, amazing. Okay. So in reality, I was trying to compare the X position of the paddle to the X position of the ball. But the X position of the paddle is, in reality, we also have to add this. Oops. So I have to add 4. And then 974. So then that should work. If I'm lucky. Dude, what do you mean? Okay. It's going the wrong way. Yeah, that's fine. I can just switch these. So yeah. It's not hard to code this AI. It's not even AI. It's just like playing against a computer. Okay, finally. It worked. Look, it's smart. See? It's following it. See what I mean? Oh, okay. So if I think it goes off the charts. Yeah, it does, but that's fine. Okay. I can fix that. Yeah, so it goes too far to the right, and I think it goes too far to the left. I mean, I would assume. Yeah, it can go 1 block too far to the right and 1 block too far to the left. Which, there is a kind of easy fix, but not that easy, if you know what I mean. Can you stop logging this? Thank you. So the kind of easy fix is checking if the player coordinate is, well, I'll just show you. If the player coordinate is 0, then we don't want it to move it to the left, essentially is what we need. So when we're moving it to the left over here, we have to also make sure that the player to is greater than 0. Or I should just say greater than or equal to 1. But it can't be a decimal, so it doesn't matter. So if I do this, it should now work on this side. I think. Yeah, it was a bit scuffed there. I don't know why it was scuffed, but we're rolling with it, Cam. Let's see. It's not even an AI at this point. Well, it's not even a computer at this point. You might think I just coded it to keep moving left and right, but I didn't, and you'll see that I didn't when the velocities can kind of change a bit. So you'll see how very smart my AI is. Oh, I know why. Okay. Yeah, I know why it's going left and right. It's because I was using else, but I actually need to use else if, because I added a condition. Okay. And player is less than, what's the maximum again? 53? Does that make sense? Yeah, sure. I'll roll with that. I need to have this less than 0 now, so it should be pretty decent now. Yeah, I think so. Let's delete this. There we go. Yep. Huh? Why did it still go too far? Okay, I think I can just change the value by 1. But on this side, yeah, it's good. Oh, sweet. So I think instead of 53, I just do 52. Bam. I have to click this block every single time. It's so annoying. Okay, the only way to test if this works is by waiting. Okay, it works on that side. And yeah, it's good on that side now. Okay, nice. Now I want to get rid of all of this stuff, and I assume that it's less than 180 blocks. It actually might not be. No, it is, I think. Yeah. Alright, API.set. I mean, yeah, I'm not mining it manually because I'm cool. Let's do this. What's the axe? Huh? Is it 160? Oh, I see. Alright, axe starts at, I don't know, best. 1000 is good. Is that it? Oh, okay. I see how it is. Alright, there we go. Yeah, get deleted. And let's do it on the other side too. So instead of 1000, I mean, we can keep it at 1000 and then just do 866. And now I got rid of the stuff using code because I'm so smart. Am I right, chat? Nice. Cool. Oh, I didn't delete it all. How nice. I'll just use my hands. I know I have to do the labor myself, but okay, I gotta get back to the coding. So what do I need to do next? I coded the AI, which is very good. So I need to code scoring detection, I think is a good idea. Yeah. So just so my brain can focus, I'm gonna make this ball not move. There we go. Okay, stuck in the middle. So, scoring detection. I'm gonna use gold blocks again.